Hi, I'm Melanie, and you're watching Yarn Journeys. In today's video, we are going to take a journey to a part of the world that is not typically associated with sheep, wool, or knitting. However, the areas we are visiting have rich traditions in the fiber arts, and they're full of inspiration from their ancient arts and culture. We are headed to East Asia. Recently, my husband and I took a 3-week trip to Hong Kong, Bangkok, and Vietnam. And in today's video, I hope to share with you a little bit of the magical experience I had on my trip. We'll go yarn shopping in Hong Kong, visit the beautiful temple complexes in Bangkok, and then we'll learn the traditional batik technique of the Black Hmong people who live in the hilly area near Sapa in Vietnam. And along the way, I hope to share with you the beautiful scenery and the wonderful people I encountered. Finally, at the end, I'll give you an update on some of my recently completed projects, as well as my works in progress. We flew from the States into Hong Kong, where my husband once lived for a few years, and I very much enjoyed him giving me a tour of his favorite haunts. Hong Kong is a vibrant city with a wonderful mix of Chinese traditions and what I'll call Western expat culture. I really found Hong Kong an exciting place to be. So let's go explore. Hong Kong's famous skyline looks most impressive at night from Kowloon across the bay. The famous Star Ferry heads back and forth from Kowloon to Hong Kong Island, giving the best views of the skyscrapers all lit up. Hong Kong is more than an urban city of skyscrapers. Our first day, we took a ferry to Llama Island. The main town is more like a village, with its harbor full of fishing boats. Walking around downtown Hong Kong, the lively cityscape has so much to see and experience. Visiting the centuries-old Manmo Temple gives you a glimpse into ancient Chinese culture surviving into this 21st century city. Hong Kongers still come daily to offer prayers and incense. The Ding Ding streetcars are a great way to get around downtown and make fun tourist shots with the reflections from office buildings. Hong Kong does have a number of yarn shops, but the ones I was able to research on the internet seem to mostly offer European and American wool brands that I was already familiar with. However, I did find one called the Paris Woolen Company in Causeway Bay that seemed to be a little bit unique. And I got to ride the Ding Ding to go visit it. I almost walked by the entrance leading to the second-story shop, and then I saw this sign. Once I arrived inside the shop, I saw the shelves stuffed to the gills with yarn and lots of samples. The owner gave me a tour of his luscious luxury yarn that I had never seen before, and he proudly showed me his own design, a beautiful double knit colorwork scarf. As the Paris Woolen Company in Hong Kong had such an interesting collection of yarn, I, of course, had to take some home with me. So I got 2 skeins of this gorgeous cashmere yarn that is this pink that seems to have a little bit of gray in it. And I also got this sable yarn, which is like nothing I have ever seen before. It is kind of fuzzy, and I thought that it would be super luxurious and interesting to marl those together. So I've knit a swatch here, and I am really pleased with how it's gonna come out. It is so soft and luxurious feeling. So what am I going to do with this yarn that I hope to marl together into something special? I have this wonderful book called Custom Shawls by Kate Atherley and Kim McBrien Evans. And what I think I am going to do is use this book, which gives all sorts of guidance on how to design your own shawls, giving suggestions of textures, how to put them into shapes, and so forth. I was thinking it would be really nice to take these yarns marled together and do some sort of simple eyelet lace pattern into a shawl. Stay tuned. I hopefully will be casting that on later this fall. From Hong Kong, we traveled to Bangkok, where unfortunately I got sick and I was unable to see as much of the city as I had hoped. Luckily, though, we were staying at a lovely hotel with amazing views of the city, which I very much appreciated being stuck in the room for a while. And I did have one fabulous day where I got to go out and explore the amazing temple complexes that Bangkok has. The weather was quite stormy and rainy in May, but that only added to downtown Bangkok's nightly light show. And the moody clouds made for beautiful sunsets. The downpours, however, were really quite spectacular. We went early in the morning to see Wat Arun to avoid the crowds and the hottest heat of the day. Umbrellas were absolutely mandatory. The stupas, pattern upon pattern upon pattern, are visually mesmerizing. We were early enough to hear the monks' morning chants. Then we crossed the river to Wat Phra Chatufon. When the rain let up, we could delight in the beautiful stupas. And when the rain fell, we could go inside to admire the Buddha statues. The mammoth reclining Buddha is definitely a highlight. The textural details of the statue made me think of baubles and delicate knitted lace. From Bangkok, we headed to northern Vietnam and the wonderful city of Hanoi. Hanoi is a city with a fast beat. full of traffic and motorbikes. Our first morning, we headed out early to tour the city, learning to dodge the scooters. We wanted to see one of the famous train streets without all the tourists. And then we visited a neighborhood food market. The locals were buying their provisions for the day. And enjoying each other's company. The older Vietnamese buildings we saw were so beautiful. Don't let the parked scooters distract you from the beautiful details. At night, the city lights up and families head out on their scooters. We headed to the night wholesale market to catch the hustle and bustle. This man is slicing fresh bamboo shoots. And we saw live fish unloaded from trucks. To relax, a walk around Ho Hoan Kiem Lake is just the thing. And we enjoyed seeing locals celebrate Vesak, a Buddhist holiday. At night, the temple bridge is all lit up so pretty, and the locals come out to relax. I did see yarn for sale in the old quarter. I believe this is mostly cotton and acrylic sold for crochet. I did not see any knitting in Hanoi. It's really hot there, so I'm not surprised. We also headed outside of Hanoi to see some artisan villages. Here, bamboo flats with vermicelli dough are drying in the sun, and laying out these flats and picking them up is hard work. Then small factories process the dried dough into gleaming bundles of noodles. In the hottest part of the day, families enjoy together time. The image of drying incense sticks is a familiar Hanoi Instagram shot. We toured the factory where the sticks are made, and it is laborious work. This village local proudly showed me how she wove with bamboo strips. For me, the most special part of our trip to Vietnam was when my husband and I headed north to the mountainous area around Sapa, not far from the Chinese border. Rather than get sucked into the Instagram-ready, made-for-tourist hotspots that have recently popped up in the area, my husband and I hooked up with an ecotourism organization called Ethos. Ethos specializes in providing immersion experiences with the local hill tribes, landscapes, and culture. The area is home to the Red Dao and Black Hmong tribes, among many others, who are working very hard to preserve their traditional way of life. Sapa town itself is not particularly beautiful, but the mountains and moody skies make for amazing views. With rapidly shifting weather, the views from our hotel changed with amazing speed. Also, the hotel's kitten was adorable. We were really in the area to see the amazing countryside with its rice paddies and mountains. This is Mei Lin, our guide from Ethos, who took us on a hike through the countryside where her Red Dao tribe makes their home. It was rice planting time, so the paddies were full of water and the farmers were working hard in the hot sun. Mei Lin's friend Ta Mei hosted us for lunch, and her gorgeously intricate embroidery was on full display. Mei Lin herself did all the hand embroidery on her traditional garments. The beautiful yellow thread glows gold against the dark indigo dyed fabric. On a break, she took out her embroidery work in progress, which she takes everywhere she goes. The next day, another ethos guide named Mi taught me the black hmong batik technique. Traditional black hmong garments are made with hemp, and Mi explained the whole process of how hemp fabric is made from seed to thread to woven cloth. The process begins with peeling the thin bark from hemp stalks into thin ribbons, and that is not easy. After several steps of soaking and beating, the ribbons are able to be spun and woven. The hand-woven cloth then gets dyed deeply with indigo to become black, and then it's rubbed with beeswax to get a nice shine. This cloth is the base for most traditional black hmong garments. They also decorate garments with batik, which begins with heating the wax on charcoal. Mi gave me a rectangle of hand-woven hemp fabric and a tool for applying the wax. Here she is demonstrating the proper technique. Again, it's not as easy as she makes it look. We each worked on our rectangles all afternoon. She helped me finish mine, otherwise we might still be there. Here's what a real batik artisan can achieve. Ethos has indigo bushes on site from which they can make their own indigo dye. And apparently an important step of the dyeing process is to spray rice wine from your mouth on the batik before it goes into the dye pot. Mi was our guide on the following day, where my husband and I hiked in an area full of mountain waterfalls. We were so grateful for the shade as we hiked. The waterfall at the hike's end was stupendous. Mi lured me out to stand in the stream, to admire the waterfall and cool my feet. On the way back, we passed local villagers still hard at work planting rice. I was jealous of this water buffalo, whose owner took him out to enjoy a swim in the cool river water. And then we hiked through a tea plantation. We ended the day at a viewing point at the top of a mountain pass, where a huge moth was taking shelter from the strong wind. My days spent with me will be a memory I will always treasure. After my batik work was dyed with indigo and had a chance to dry, I was able to take it back home with me. And I decided to sew it up into a pillow. In my fabric stash, I already had this indigo dyed Japanese cloth, which I hope you can see. And it perfectly goes with the finished batik fabric. So I'm so excited to have this. I am also so grateful for the time I spent with our guides from Ethos. I found them so much fun and so inspiring. If you ever get the chance to visit this area in Vietnam, I highly recommend that you spend some time with the people from Ethos. If you're interested in learning more about Ethos, I've put a link in the description notes. By the way, if you are enjoying today's video, please be sure to hit that like button. It will help people just like yourself find this video and the channel. Thank you so much. I do so appreciate it. So now for some project updates. So first I'll share with you what I was working on while I was traveling. I of course had all of that plane time on my hands, and I finished a Musselburgh hat, that famous hat pattern by Ysolda Teague. I think this is my third one. I knit this in La Bien-Aimée sport weight. I got this yarn as a giveaway when I last went to Vogue Knitting Live in New York. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish it with that yarn, but I had something in my scraps that was able to fit the same gauge. So I just tuck that in like you do for a double layer hat, and voila, you can't see it. So nice pink hat. So that is finished object number 1. I also finished my all Ower Toorie. This is the hat for this year's Shetland Wool Week, which I am delighted to say I will be going back. The yarn is from Jamieson and Smith's. The pattern is by this year's Shetland Wool Week patron, as always, which is the Shetland Knitters and Weavers Guild. The pattern replicates the motifs from a famous hat that is in the Shetland Museum. I used as colors some shades of Jamieson's and Smith's that I bought last year when I was in Shetland. I had originally bought it for a sock pattern that was in the annual, but I never got around to knitting the socks, so I figured, why not use that yarn to make the Toorie? I am so pleased with how it turned out, and it has a tassel. I am very pleased with the fit. I look forward to popping this on my head at Wool Week in October. I am also very glad to say that I finished my Fearless sweater. I have been going on about this sweater in some of my recent videos. Now that I have finished it, I actually have a lot to say about this sweater. I am really pleased with how it has come out, but I think my next video is going to be a in-depth review of this pattern, of my knitting experience. Let me know if that is something that you would be interested in. This really is to me, what I might call a magnum opus. I'm really, if I do say so myself, I'm really proud of this work, and I think there's some things that I learned from making it that you might be interested in as well. I also recently finished a skein of yarn. This is from a wonderful gradient roving that I purchased from Angel Locks Fiberworks. I spun it long draw on my trusty Ladybug. Then I chain plied it. I am really pleased with how this yarn turned out. It is squishy, it's relatively even, it's about a fingering to sport weight, I think. And I think it'll make a wonderful contrast color, perhaps in some kind of color work piece. I don't know. I just really enjoy spinning. I don't necessarily need to know what I'm going to use it for before I start. Of course, the Tour de Fleece starts in a few days, and I am not going to be participating this year in the Tour de Fleece. I just have too much going on, and I love to spin, and I do love to watch the Tour de France, and I will be doing both, but not necessarily as rigorously as one who participates in the Tour de Fleece should. The truth is that right now, my level 2 submission for the TKGA's Master Hand Knitting Certification is really taking up a lot of my time. Level 2 is, as it should be, much harder and time consuming than level 1. And I really want to do a good job. So in all of my fiber arts related goings on, that is taking the top spot. It is also why I'm not getting these videos out as often as I would like. When I am done with level 2, when I have passed it, I look forward to sharing with you all about my experience. The other major work in progress I have going on is that I have casted on for the East Burra cardigan. This is a pattern by Swedish designer Carina Olsson, inspired by Shetland's Fair Isle designs, and I have swatched for it. Here is my swatch. I purchased this yarn at Jameson's in Lerwick when I was there last year for Shetland Wool Week. I promised myself that I would cast on and try to finish the sweater by this coming Wool Week. We'll see if that actually happens. Well, that's all I have for you in today's episode. I do so hope that you enjoyed our trip to Asia. I've got some fun things planned in future episodes of Yarn Journeys, so you will want to subscribe. Thanks so much for spending time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye.